It's with a lot of pride that I present the next guest on my show. It really is. Because a long time ago, it seems like a long time ago, I was watching President Reagan give a man a Congressional Medal of Honor, and his name was Roy Benavides, and he was a Green Beret, and I got the impression from Roy that he was a little bit taken aback by the president throwing his arms around him and you know, giving him a hug. Well, that's the first thing I asked Roy about. And Roy, you told me something I didn't know, and I don't think the world knows. But good afternoon, sir. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here, and thank you very much for inviting me to come here.
When the president put his arms around you, what happened?
Well, everybody thinks just because he's from California, you know, and when he hugged me, everybody thinks different.
Yeah.
But the expression in my face was because I stepped on his toes. I was pulled forward. And I had those jump boots on, you know, and
yeah.
And I hope he didn't hurt. He probably hurt more than I. Probably more surprised than I.
That's right. You had the full uniform on.
Yes, and I already had the medal around. So.
Well, this is as close as I've gotten to a Congressional Medal of Honor, and Roy's wearing it this afternoon. That's a very unusual medal, not only because of what it signifies, but what it looks like.
I tell you, it's pretty hard to get. I didn't think I was going to earn it. Well, I was getting paid to do a job, and I've been trained to do a job, so that's why I volunteered on my own on this mission. But
where are you from?
Well, I have an address in Texas. I'm never there because I'm traveling.
Where were you born?
I was born in DeWitt County, Cuero, Texas, and after my parents passed on, my brother and I were adopted by an aunt and uncle that had 8 children of their own. And so we came up to El Campo, Texas, where I reside now with my family. I retired. When they retired me from the military, I came to live there.
Why did you decide to join the military, especially an outfit like the Green Berets, where you knew if anything went wrong, you'd be the first ones in it?
Well, the story goes, you know, that, and it's all in the book, you know, the Last Medal of Honor that Pete Billock just wrote. I dropped out of school, and I'm not proud of it. You know, I know that I needed an education, and I was working at odd jobs, and I was
nowhere.
Getting nowhere. That's right. I didn't have money in my pocket, and I wanted a little car, and I wasn't making enough. And so I remember my grandfather would tell me that an education and a diploma is the key to success. Bad habits and bad company will ruin you. So I didn't want to get with my buddies and get in trouble, and I joined the Texas National Guard, seeking an education or an opportunity to get into the regular Army, which I did. And then I went airborne. I was accepted, and I continued with my education. I got my high school diploma, whereas now you can't get into the military without that certificate.
Oh, no, they're being selective now.
That's right. So then I learned the skill, and I liked it, and then I wanted to join the Green Berets. The Green Berets were known at the Green Berets then. We received the headgear in 1962 from the late President Kennedy. We're known as Special Forces, that's all. In fact, we had a little trouble wearing the beret. We only wore it out in the field at times or what, but we wear it just like regular paratroopers. We wear the insignia. And after the Bay of Pig invasions, the president was very impressed in the Special Forces and their activities. So then he authorized us to wear the beret, and he stated that the Green Beret is a symbol of excellence, mark of distinction, badge of courage in the fight for freedom.
Now, this book is called The Last Medal of Honor, and if you want to get a copy of this, my friends, and I advise you to do that, because I'll tell you what, we don't have time this afternoon to get to the absolute core. I can only touch on the edges by what Roy's going to tell us this afternoon. It's one of the most chilling stories I've ever written. Were you a tough kid growing up?
No, I don't think I was. I think I was just, I was, we were poor.
You come from a rough neighborhood?
No, I came out from the country, and my uncle, my dad's brother that adopted my brother and I, was a deputy sheriff of the county, so he was a strict disciplinarian.
Were you into fights when you were a kid?
Yes, I wanted to. I wanted to be a boxer. You know, I love to fight.
What are you, about 5'7", 8"?
5'7.5".
But you're stocky. You're built like a...
Well, you know,
tank.
being in the airborne and going through all this training, I would just talk to the cadets at MTSU, and I told them about my days in the airborne school. That every time you make a mistake, you do 10 or 20 push-ups. So I think I pushed half to Georgia and South Carolina. You know, you know, of course.
What did you weigh at your fighting weight? What was your best weight?
128 pounds.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
You're a pound or two heavier.
Yeah, I fought in the Texas State Golden Glove.
Did you?
Yeah, and Will Rogers Coliseum in Dallas.
When you got to Vietnam, now you had a mission on this one occasion where you had an idea that they were hopping across the Cambodian border, making a few strikes, and then hopping back over there where we weren't allowed, right? Isn't that the story?
Yes.
All right. Now, this is a bone-chilling story, and I don't know if I could have half done what you did. But then we never know until the stretch
Yes,
comes
you
down.
would. Yes, you would, because, you know, a lot of people ask me that, and it's, you read that poem that nun gave me.
Yeah.
And it's there. You know, you're an American. You love this country, and that's what, you know, that's what we're here for, to preserve the integrity and the freedom of the nation. And if you're a military man, of course, you take an oath, you know, to obey all orders and all those appointed over you.
Roy, wait a minute. You're carrying a guy over your shoulder.
Yeah.
You're getting shot at. Someone sticks a bayonet in your arm. You catch a hold of the bayonet and you pull your knife out and stick it in him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do all that, Roy.
Well, you want to live, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you value your life, mister.
All right, now I want you to tell your story. You had this mission to do. You got yourself a Congressional Medal of Honor, which they don't hand out to every Boy Scout.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to get the medal. I was just, this is instant reaction, you know. In fact, I didn't know nothing about that mission. I had been extracted. I had been inserted 3 days before then.
And what actually happened? Now, you tell us in your own words. But I want people to buy this book because this, you know, you need this book and you need it autographed by this hero. And you need to keep it in your library and show it to your kids. I'm telling you what.
It doesn't have a bad language in it.
No.
And it's hard to go through combat. It's hard to go through combat.
We know what it was like. You know, it's 1-800-933-3939. Now, go ahead, Roy. Tell us about what happened and why they gave you this Medal of Honor.
Well, this is on my second trip, my second tour to Vietnam. And I had been inserted 3 days earlier prior to this mission, which I didn't know that was going to be conducted, to go get a prisoner, to go get someone that would talk. And one of my road buddies got hit and got wounded pretty bad, and he was bleeding. So I didn't want to leave him behind, and so I called in for an extraction to come and pull us out. And, you know, we called in for a McGuire rig to pull us out, and the McGuire rig is nothing but a piece of nylon rope with a horseshoe device at the end to just hook on, and God save you as they pull you out. So as we was coming out, the information that I got was very, very critical. And we was coming out, and our ropes twisted, and they started rubbing. And, you know, there was a black non-commissioned officer. And here, of course, we don't never look at color of skin anywhere, you know, in combat or in peace or what. He looked out. He was riding as a recovery man, a belly man in a helicopter. And he saw that those two ropes were burning and we was going to drop to our death. So he tied himself with a belly band and pulled himself out of the helicopter and kept those two ropes from burning. See? And Charlie was shooting at it. He was playing that hillbilly music with his AK-47. So we finally landed, and I got my buddy. They took him off, and they put him in a medevac. And so I was put onto my quarters, or where I was staying there, locked in. I was debriefing, just waiting for the next assignment. So here, all of a sudden, next day, on the third day, I heard these people, you know, scrambling, going helicopter pilots running to the airfield, and I stopped at our commo shack, and I heard over the radio, you know, something like a popcorn machine, a tube, and I heard this guy, you know, yelling and crying, just begging to come in, and they needed help. They wanted to be extracted. So I asked our operator, I said, hey, who are they? He said, I don't know. And they were using those, famous four-letter words and everything, the Army language,
Yeah.
get us out of here. And, I mean, they were in some hot spots right there, and then they were in a frying pan. And so I ran with the choppers to the helicopter pad. I thought that they were going to fly out. Well, a secret mission operation at sea. No helicopters go in to help them. And there was one helicopter that was coming in, and he was pretty well tore up, and he had a door gun, a young man. I'll never forget the pictures in the book there. Michael Craig from California. He was 19 years old. We just celebrated his 19th birthday in March. And I unstrapped him from his seat. He was a door gunner, and he died in my arms. And the chopper pilots were getting off, and the co-pilot, and his last word I'll never forget, "Oh my God, my mother and father." And the pilot, Roger Waggy, you know how you get when you lose, a comrade, such a young man and everything. So, we consoled each other, and we tuned down a little bit. And the pilot was having trouble, my pilot was having trouble getting his helicopter started, so we had to jump it. And right there and then, I made up my mind that I asked Roger Waggy, I said, "Hey," I said, "who's the team on the ground?" He says, "It's that black fellow that's part of your team." I said, "That's Leroy Wright. That was the guy that saved my life 3 days ago." And I owe it to him. Of course, we never look at it that way, I help you, you help me, you owe me your life. So I jumped in that helicopter, and we got the darn thing started. We jumped it and got it started, and all I had was my knife, and I had a bag of medical supplies. And I didn't need a weapon because everything comes to your mind. Everything, the training that you obtain comes into your mind all at once.
Let me take a little time out. He is a Medal of Honor recipient. As he likes to remind me, you don't win the Medal of Honor. You don't compete for it. He is the recipient of. This is the true story of Green Beret Sergeant Roy P. Benavides and his 6-hour battle in hell. Are they thinking about making a movie of this, right, Roy?
I hope so, yes. Yes, I'm supposed to be in California week after next.
Okay, now then, we got to the point where you finally got a helicopter, you got the thing jump-started, and you went looking for these wounded men. What happened then?
Well, they guided us in. Our forward air controller, as I showed you in the picture there,
Yeah.
Lieutenant Turnow then, he's a brigadier general now, he finally guided us in, and he says, "Hey," he says, "you can't go in there." He says, that thing is hotter than a frying pan. I said, "I got to get in there. Get me another place." So he found me another little place where it's just bigger than a dime to go in there. So I asked Mr. McGibbons, Larry McGibbons, my pilot, I said, "Can you get me down there?" He says, "Well, it's going to be tough." I said, "Look, get me down as close as you can, and I'll get to that team." I said, "When you leave me, when I get off this helicopter, you fly towards where the team is, because I don't want to be disoriented." We didn't ask the team to burn smoke, because then that would give their position away. And, of course, the enemy had them surrounded, and that helicopter was making a lot of noise. So Larry dropped me off, and I dropped about 10 feet. And I laid on the ground, and I looked up and saw where he was going. I got up and started running, and as I did, I felt a thorn on one of my legs. So I didn't know, where I was hit, or I scratched myself in some tree or limb or something. So I reached down, and I brought my hand, and I saw blood. So I kept on going. I said, "Hey, that's it. So I can't stop here." So
the chopper took off in the right direction?
Yes, he did. So I yelled for Big Tim, Brian O'Connor, or I yelled for Leroy, who was a team leader. And then Musso came on, and Musso was laying closer than anyone else. Musso had been shot through the eye. His eyeball was hanging. He'd been shot through the stomach and his legs and arms. And he was just leaning against a tree. So I asked him, "Where's Leroy?" He says he doesn't know. So I asked him, "Where's O'Connor?" O'Connor just raised 2 fingers, And the enemy was really firing at all of us, and he was confused as where these men were because of the grass he couldn't see. So I got the radio, and I asked Larry to come on in and pick us up was getting organized, and so I asked the CIDGs who was with us, the mercenaries.
Boy, these guys that come back in with these chopper guys, they got
they're
guts.
very dedicated men. I tell you, these chopper pilots never get enough credit. Just like those Air Force pilots, like those nurses, they never get enough credit. We never know them.
And they're going to sit there and hover while you guys get it.
That's right.
Oh, boy.
And I tell you that, so Larry came back. I got on the radio, and I finally got with O'Connor, and he was in pretty bad shape. And we got our CIDG together. So I asked Larry to come on in and spray the area. We're going to lay low, flat on the ground. And I told him that give me 1 minute or 2 minutes, and we get up to the landing zone. So we all got together, and the chopper came in and sprayed the area. Then they went over to the LZ. And as he did, we started running and started dragging ourselves and dragging others, the wounded and everything, to get into him. And now I got shot again. That slowed me down. But then how Brian got to the chopper and Musso got to the chopper. Now I didn't want to leave Leroy, my brother, behind. This guy had saved my life, so I went back to get him. And I wanted to get the classified material, of course, and the intelligence gathering device.
Spraying the area means to lay down a little fire.
Yes, sir.
To make them stop this for a minute. Yeah.
That's right. And they have to know that if they fire one more time, the helicopter's going to do worse than that.
Yeah.
See? So I reached for Leroy to get the SOI and everything, and then all of a sudden I heard a whoom. And I found out later I got shot in the back. I was shot in the back.
You received 53 wounds.
I received 28. I think they counted on me. 28 wounds. I was shot 6 times.
Okay. All right.
But they counted over 28 wounds in my body. So I dropped Leroy when I got shot in the back, and the bullet went all around in my innards, and then it exited under my left arm. And had punctured my lung. And Larry McGivens, the pilot, had gotten shot. A sniper killed him. And that's where the wound that I heard is when the helicopter turned over and they hit the trees.
Now, you received 57 separate wounds from bullet holes to bayonet slashes, right? Wounds.
That's what,
not
wounds.
shot.
Yeah, that's
right,
shrapnel.
That's where I get my numbers from. Okay.
Okay, so then, here I was laying on my back. I dropped Leroy. And I didn't know what happened. A concussion from the helicopter that had crash landed. And luckily all those guys weren't in there. So here I turned around and I looked and I said, oh my God, and I saw the smoke and the thing was about to explode. And Brian O'Connor ran over to me and I said, what happened? He says, the pilot just got killed and they crashed. I said, oh my God, and the darn motor was on top of one of the door gunner's eyeballs sticking out. I said, well, let's get everybody together. The darn smoke is giving our position away. I said, let's get out of here. Let's go the opposite way. I said, the enemy's going to find out where we're at. So I grabbed a weapon from someone, and I shot up the inside of the helicopter, destroying the communication system and giving away the frequencies, So everything comes to your mind. And we all got together. We went onto a little huddle, and we set up a perimeter. I said, give me that radio. They started lobbying mortar to where that smoke was, see?
Yeah.
And because that position was given away, luckily we got out of there just in a hurry. And all that mortar and shrapnel started hitting us and everything. I had my head all sprayed, my back and my face, and everything. I still got shrapnel. I was showing Wade's wife, where I got shrapnel right up here and all over my hands here. And so we got away, and then we got the radio and we started talking to our forward air controller, our FAC. And he came in and he says, I got two fighters that are coming in, spraying the area. Lay low, I know where you at. I can see you. So here comes two jets, they came in and fired a Gatling gun, 20,000 rounds a minute. So Brian, in his statement, I don't remember nothing. I'm telling you this from what I read from the statements and talking to him in person. And Brian said that we call in airstrike too close, and the afterburners burned some of his hair off and some of the other people. But we couldn't fire. We didn't want to fire at the enemy, take lucky shots or anything, because then that would give our position away. Finally, some helicopters came in. The CNC came in, and they started to form a wagon wheel up above us. And I got on the radio and I said, get those guys out of here. Get them the heck out of here. They're giving our position away. Those guys, they're so dedicated. They wanted to make sure, that we were going to come out there alive. So after a while, I took another shot, and O'Connor took another, and I gave him a shot of morphine. Musso, I bandaged him up the best way I could. One of the interpreters, he had intestines that were just coming out, and he had been shot pretty bad, riddled in the stomach. And this hot sun was drying him up, and he was really hurting. He begged me to kill him, and I wouldn't. And we finally got another helicopter to come on in, and that poor chopper pilot, he got hit, and he crash landed about a mile from us. And so here those guys unloaded from that helicopter and came and joined us, and I thought, oh, my God, I got more worries. One of the chopper pilots had a piece of wood struck through his ear, and where they crashed. And so here, I told him, and I got on the radio again, started talking to our forward air control, our FAC, and I told him, hey, what's going on? He says, just lay low. He said, we got some more support.
Hold on just a second here. We're talking to Roy Benavides. Okay, you're right in the middle of this firefight. You're down on the ground. You've got your chopper in. They've been blown to pieces. You've been shot. Now what happens?
Well, we got the air support to come in and helped us out. And we finally had one more helicopter coming in. One pilot got 3 other pilots to come in and get us out. Now, officers, it took 4 officers to man that helicopter. They put the instruments together with green tape. It was not operable, but they went in. The dedication that this men have, they don't get enough credit. Roger Waggy came in, and he had suffered a lot too, so psychologically, And they came in there, 2 warrant officers, 1 captain, 1 officer, were door gunners.
That's a dangerous mission. That's a dangerous place to be.
That's right. So they came in, and we started getting up to the helicopter, started getting and helping each other out. I told them, I said, you can either crawl, you can walk, you can drag yourself, but this is the last damn plane in here. So we got to get out.
Get on it.
So I was helping Musso as I bent over to help Musso, and I've always said that he saved my life because I felt a blunt right in the back of my head. An enemy soldier had hit me, and I threw out a yell, one of them special forces yell, and swung around, and here I see this man with a weapon in his hand and a bayonet. And he comes down, and me like a fool thinking I was going to stop this thing, I put out my right arm, and he slashed it where I just showed you. So then he couldn't see me to go down, so he reared back and he hits me in the mouth with the butt of the weapon. I was so weak, lost the blood. I'd given myself already 3 morphine shots. And so here, I'm yelling, I'm fighting for my life, and here he comes at me with the weapon and the bayonet, and I stepped aside, and I hold the bayonet with my left arm, and he was sawing that thing just like a log. And I reached in the back, and I got my knife out, and I started carving on his side, I wish I'd remembered my zip code number so I'd have got my weapon back. I had to leave it in and stuck one in his bones.
Roy, there's no way I can imagine that, and I want to tell you right now that I appreciate you being here. I appreciate the fact that you were you were on my side. The book, again, my friends, I guarantee you should read it. And, again, it's Swan Publishing in Houston, Texas. So we're back in the battlefield again.
Okay.
You finally got rid of the guy who'd already run you with a bayonet.
Yeah.
Then you start throwing people on the chopper.
Then I started throwing people out. Well, Bill Darling saw me, and I grabbed that man's weapon, luckily because I left my knife stuck on him. I grabbed the weapon, and as I was coming up to the chopper, Bill Darling saw me, and I leveled my weapon, and if he shot, I'm glad that he missed. But I had to shoot 2 enemy soldiers that was coming from under the helicopter, and he couldn't reach them. And when he saw me that I was holding my intestines in my right hand and holding Musso in my left over my shoulder, And he got up, he let go of his machine gun. He got up and he should have never done that. He got shot 3 or 4 times in the stomach. And they pulled me in, and I gave him thumbs up. And Roger Waggy said that he couldn't get his pedal. He couldn't touch his pedal because of the blood flowing inside the helicopter. And there was blood flowing on both sides of the helicopter as we lifted up. When we unloaded, they found out I loaded 17 people in that helicopter,
Including
three enemy soldiers. And they, and because I looked sort of oriental, you know, and I was 60 pounds to go, they let me lay right next to the enemy.
Because they thought you were one of them.
Because I was one of them, and I couldn't talk because my jaws were locked when I got hit with the mouth, and the mouth was the butt of the weapon. But thank God that Jerry Cottenham was there, and he was screaming at the doctor to please, you know, help me and save me. They was putting a body bag on me and everything.
Thought you was finished.
The doctor said there's nothing I can do. And Jerry bent him over to look closer now, and I'm glad he did. When he did, I spit in his face.
Said, I'm alive.
And the doctor said, yeah, he's still alive. This one goes to Saigon.
What are you doing with yourself these days, Roy?
Well, it's a heck of a story. I'm trying to keep myself busy. I go talking to kids in schools, colleges, and orphanages, and you know, detention centers and everything. They are the future leaders of the country. And if you notice on the book, we don't have any obscene language in the book. It's hard to go through combat without uttering a few bad words. But I want all these youngsters to read this book. Pete did a marvelous job. I want them to understand what price is paid for the freedom that they enjoy. I want them to learn to have respect for one another, and regardless of color, creed, or religion. And you know, we're proud to live in a beautiful country. There were so many people that had given their life for this.
You saw a lot of young men gave up their life.
Oh, yes. One of them, the picture of the door gunner, they're 19 years old. I saw a lot of them lose their legs and their arms. And then I saw a lot of nurses break down, too. And those ladies, that's why I agreed to give some of the proceeds to the Women's Memorial, the Nurses Memorial.
Again, the number is 1-800-933-3939. It's been my pleasure this afternoon to talk to the last Medal of Honor winner. Recipient.
Give me 20. Give me 20. I'll drop you for 20 anytime.
Recipient, not a winner. Roy P. Benavides and his 6-hour battle in hell. It'll be a movie before we get too much older. Roy, you take care of yourself. I'm proud to have met you.
Thank you very much. Tell all my buddies in Fort Campbell and everybody hello.